Have you ever really stopped to think about why you grabbed that specific brand of coffee this morning? Or what was going through your head when you decided to buy those new sneakers? Well, we're going to dive right into that because behind every single purchase you make, there's this whole hidden world of psychology, economics, and marketing. So today, we're pulling back the curtain on the invisible forces that shape pretty much all of our decisions as consumers. All right, here's the plan. First, we'll see how one tiny choice can set off a massive global chain reaction. Then, we'll get into the actual science behind a sale and unpack the four different modes you shop in. After that, we'll look at how marketers are using all this data. And finally, we'll see how this stuff impacts a whole lot more than just your shopping cart.
Okay, let's start with the big picture. It's super easy to think of our shopping habits as just small personal things, right? But what's wild is that every single time you buy something, you're basically kicking off a massive chain reaction. We're talking about the consumer ripple effect, where just one of your decisions can literally change everything.
Just think about it for a second. That simple choice you made at the coffee shop or in the grocery aisle, what was really behind it? Was it the taste, the price, or just a habit you don't even think about anymore? Maybe it was something you can't even put your finger on. And it's not just coffee, of course. It's the streaming service you binge watch, the phone you're probably holding right now, the shoes on your feet. Your entire day is just a string of these decisions, and every single one tells a story. So here is the main takeaway. All these little, seemingly insignificant personal choices, when you multiply them by millions or even billions of people, well, that's what turns the gears of the entire global economy. You are literally shaping the world we live in with your wallet. Let's just follow one single purchase to see what I mean. Let's say you buy a new phone. Okay, so the store has to order another one to replace it. That means the manufacturer has to make a new one. To do that, they've got to buy raw materials from all their suppliers. Then, shipping companies have to move all those parts and finished goods around the globe. And hey, your cell phone company just got a new customer. That one click on Buy Now creates value all the way down the line for people you will never, ever meet. So that brings us to the big why. What is actually going on inside our heads when we make these choices? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at the science of a sale. And it really all boils down to one single core idea. At its heart, what we call consumer behavior is really just a set of value-seeking activities. It all starts with a need, right? We need to communicate, we need to eat, we need to be entertained. Then we start looking for the option that we feel gives us the most value to fill that need. It's not really about just buying stuff. It's a constant process of solving problems. And trying to understand this whole process, it's not simple. It's this really rich field that pulls from a ton of different areas. You've got psychology, which helps us understand our mental shortcuts and reactions. You've got economics, giving us the big picture of production and consumption. Sociology looks at how our friends and family influence what we buy. And then, of course, there's marketing, which studies how to make that final exchange happen. Okay, so not all buying decisions are created equal, not even close. We actually shift gears in our brain depending on what we're buying. And this brings us to what are called the four distinct modes of consumer decision making. So, on the low effort, low involvement end, you've got habitual buying. Think about buying trash bags. You don't spend hours researching them, you just grab the brand you always get. Then there's variety seeking. This is like when you pick a different chocolate bar at the checkout, just because you want to try something new. Your involvement is still pretty low, but you're driven by a desire for novelty. Now, on the high involvement side, you have limited decision making. Maybe you need a new space heater. There are a few options, they're kind of similar, so you'll compare prices and maybe read a review or two. And finally, you have extended decision making.
This is for the big stuff, like a new car or a computer, where you're going to spend a lot of time researching to make sure you get the best possible option. Just knowing which mode you're in can make a huge difference.
So we know we act differently in different buying situations. But who else knows this? Well, businesses do. And this is where it all gets really, really fascinating. And maybe a little bit spooky because their predictions about us can be shockingly accurate. Companies are studying these behaviors to get a major edge. They use it for differentiation, creating specific ads for specific groups of people. They use it for trend forecasting, so they know what to stock up on for the holidays. They use it to build trust, trying to align with your personal values. And of course, they use all our feedback to make their products better. But sometimes their predictions go to a whole other level. Let me tell you this now famous story. A dad storms into a Target outside Minneapolis. He is furious. He's waving around these coupons that the store sent to his high school-age daughter for things like cribs and baby clothes. He's yelling at the manager, "Are you trying to encourage my daughter to get pregnant?" The manager is super apologetic, of course, but a few days later, he gets a phone call. It's the same dad. And this time, he's incredibly embarrassed. He says he had a talk with his daughter, and it turns out she actually was pregnant and due in August. Target's data knew about the pregnancy before her own father did. So, how? How is that even possible? Well, by tracking buying patterns. Target's data scientists figured out that pregnant women often start buying larger quantities of very specific things, like unscented lotion and cotton balls. By tracking about 25 of these key products, they could assign each customer a pregnancy prediction score and start sending out coupons timed.
So the real question is, now that you know a little more about how this whole system works, who